Welcome to Third Shot Podcast. We've got another great episode in store for you, but if you haven't already, please head on over to our Instagram and Facebook at Third Shot Podcast and give us a follow. Give us a heart, send us a comment. We love to see all of that coming through. You can also watch our episodes on YouTube. Just search Third Shot Podcast and you'll find us there. And check out our website, thirdshotpodcast.com, where you can find all of our previous episodes, read some blog posts, buy some amazing Third Shot apparel, which Uncle Greg is modeling today, and get yourself one of those cool t-shirts.
Nice.
I'm going to do a toast because I sure missed you, Uncle Greg. He's back on the mainland.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mahalo. I was over on the islands for a while and just loved it. I love Hawaii. Like our family are Hawaiians at heart.
I think so too. Aloha spirit is what they say.
We do have the aloha spirit. In fact, I have a sticker right now that I'm looking at that says practice aloha.
Oh, love that. Well, you look tan, and I got to see some photos, but share with us, listeners and myself, what did you get up to in Oahu?
So we stayed in Ko'olina, which is a little off the beaten path. It's like, I would say, northwest of Honolulu, the Waikiki, where all the hustle and bustle is. We kind of wanted to get out of that and just kind of relax and enjoy ourselves. So we stayed in Ko'olina, and they have their own beach, and it's got these like breakers out in the ocean. So you don't get the waves. You don't get the heavy waves. You still get current that comes in, but you don't get the undertow that's pulling you out all the time. You don't get the waves in and out. So the beach was just really calm and enjoyable, and it's private. So that was a lot of fun. And there's these balls. They're kind of like beanbags, little balls, like hacky sack balls, like that,
Okay.
right? But they're made to like skip across the water, like you would skip a rock.
Okay.
And so I got one of those, I think the first day we were there. And nobody in our party, none of the guys, and I don't know, I think my daughters have done it before. Anyway, we got that, and we were just hucking this thing across the ocean, just skipping it as many times as we could. We're like doming people, like, because they
watch out.
So no, we didn't hit anybody, but it came really, really close a few times, because you can't really control which direction it hits a wave in a certain way. It's going to kick it to the right or kick to the left or kick it up. So you can't really control it perfectly, but so that was fun. And then Amanda, who does all the marketing for our show, one of her best friends lives on Oahu, and she was so nice. Love you, Carissa. She took some time and showed us around her island. And this is her home, and she knew all the great spots to go to, all the cool beaches to visit. You know how important the good food is to me. So she showed us all her favorite restaurants, and I gained 7 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I gained 7 pounds while I was there.
Worth it.
Oh, it was worth it. It was worth it. So, I tried this pork belly loco moco.
Whoa,
So people that don't know what loco moco is, it's traditionally it's rice with a hamburger patty and then a fried egg with brown gravy over it. That's a traditional loco moco, which I had that too. But this one place had a pork belly, a grilled pork belly loco moco. Oh, seriously, it was so good. And then, the ABC stores that are all over Hawaii, they're kind of like little, I don't know what, convenience store where you can get your toiletries, and they have some food, they have the deli, they have liquor, pretty much anything you need. There was one by our resort, and they had kind of a hot deli area. They had a prime rib loco moco.
Whoa. At a convenience store? That is amazing.
And I was like, okay, how good can this be, right? I'm going, I got to try it. Where else am I going to get a prime rib loco moco? So I got it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I couldn't believe it. from an ABC store.
Oh,
So,
that's amazing.
oh, so that was a highlight. And then, our friends over at Leva, the ones that do the bags,
Yep.
Tyler. Tyler was supposed to play with me. We had set up a time that we were going to play my first morning in Oahu. He had arranged a game for us and with some of his friends. But oh my gosh, the poor guy, he got a concussion.
Oh,
Not
shoot.
playing football, but he got a concussion. So he wasn't up to playing, but he was nice enough to, tell everybody that I was coming. So he gave me the directions and went to this park kind of up by Pearl City and got to meet all of his friends, Austin and Sean. And guess what? You know how I am with the names that follow me in pickleball?
Yes.
Joy.
Oh, another Joy. What the heck? What about a
Another
Brigie?
No Bridgies, no Bridgies. But there was a couple of women that I didn't get a chance to meet. I bet you one of them was a Bridgie.
Yeah, had to have been.
They had Bridgie vibes.
Oh, well, that sounds amazing. I'm so glad you got to play. You got your food in, you got your beach time. Are you happy to be back?
No, I'm
Dang.
happy to be with you. I'm happy to be
Oh,
with
that's
you.
good.
I'm happy to be podcasting. I wish I was podcasting from Oahu right now and playing pickleball with all the guys at the park. That was so much fun. Or hanging out at the beach, skipping balls, or eating some local moco somewhere. But I love Hawaii, and Auntie loves Hawaii. The
Mhm.
whole family loves it. They were saying it's one of the best vacations we've ever had. It was just a blast. We swam in
Oh,
water under a waterfall. That was cool.
wow. Well, all of you work so hard. I'm so happy you had the time to escape and get that downtime. And I'm going to have to pick your brain about Lena, because I'm headed there in November for a friend's wedding in that exact area, which I know nothing about. So,
Well, it's walking distance to the Disney resort.
okay, that's where the person getting married is staying, because they love Disney. So that's part of their wedding gift, is to stay there from one of their aunties.
Well, the ABC store that has the prime rib local moco is right across from the Disney resort.
Ooh, okay. Good to know. I'm gonna make note of that. I want
Yeah,
to go.
but I'll give you all the ins and outs of where to go that we checked out. Oh, there's one
Yes.
Hawaiian restaurant that I will tell you about. That's only about 10 minutes away, and they're
Hmm.
only open for like limited hours each day.
That's how you know they're
So
good.
it's oh my gosh, beyond good. So I'll give you I'll give you I'll give you a scoop on that place as well. So I am very, very excited to be back in podcasting because our guest today, Eddie Perez. Eddie is a pro pickleball player. He's also the director of pickleball over at Pickleball Charlotte. This guy is so much fun. He's such a good player and just got the most best personality. I mean, he's the nicest guy. I had a chance to speak to him before our interview today, and just how you just connect. There's just that immediate bond, right? I
Yep.
felt that way with
Vibes are right.
I felt that way with Eddie. So I can't wait to get Eddie on the show. And while we bring Eddie in, it gives everybody an opportunity. Hey, go check us out on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Look up Third Shot Podcast on X, Third Shot Pod. Go take a look at us and actually see us on on YouTube, Third Shot Podcast. And you'll definitely want to check out Eddie on this interview because he's going to be a bundle of energy. I can just tell. So let's bring him on. Hey, Eddie, welcome to Third Shot Podcast.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Thank you both for having me. I am pumped to be here. I really am.
Let's go.
Right. We are so excited to hear your story. But before we jump into it, we're gonna do a quick toast to you,
Yes.
Eddie, and all the cool things you're doing in pickleball. Cheers.
Thank you all so much. Cheers, everyone.
Ooh, that's good.
Now we're ready to go. We're hydrated.
I'm loose. I'm loose. I'm ready.
So, Eddie, share with us, how long have you been playing pickleball and how did you get started in the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started right after Thanksgiving 2020. So we're still kind of in the middle of COVID. I had to go back home. I was still in college. I went to Florida Atlantic University. So we all get sent home. And November 2020, it's right after Thanksgiving. And I call a buddy of mine and say, hey, let's go to our local courts like we used to do. And he used to be my old hitting partner in tennis. So we're playing and we're having a good time. And all of a sudden, 6 p.m., right on the dot, 40 cars roll in. And we're like, whoa, what's going on? Whoa, whoa, whoa. And all these people come in with all these pickleball bags and the nets. They all have like the roll-away nets. And at that point in time, I had no idea what they were. Like when I saw the lines on the court, I was confused. I thought they were maybe like junior tennis or something lines.
Right.
They all pop in. They start setting up the nets. There's only 2 tennis courts. I have one. 40 people are trying to play pickleball and 2 courts set up on this one tennis court. I start feeling horrible. I'm like, I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know. Should I give them the court or not? So I gave them the court. I said, hey, you guys take it. Let's go. So as I'm leaving, I'm about to walk in my car and this lady's like sprinting towards me. I'm thinking, gosh, did I do something wrong? She's like, hey, try this out. Gives me this like old Gamma pickleball paddle from who knows how long. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm playing it with her, this lady, Mady, awesome person. And it was Mady and these 2 other people. And I'm over here like, man, I'm going to kill these people. I'm going to crush them. I'm going to demolish them. I did this like funny serve from up here. I went like this. And I hit an ace. And I was like, yeah, take that. The lady on the other side goes, that's illegal. And I'm like, get out of here. And then they end up telling me like, no, here's actually like the rules. I'm like, oh.
So they didn't know that was your first time ever?
No, they had no idea.
Okay.
Like, tennis player, we'll kind of convert them because basically this whole group, it's like for years, my dad played Division I tennis and then I grew up playing tennis and didn't play in college, but growing up on those courts, right after high school and while I was in college, I see the pickleball lines on the courts and they were getting taped and things like that. And as tennis players, we had no idea what they were. Like 2017, 18, 19, pickleball was still not obviously what it is now, but we thought there were junior tennis courts because at the time too, we also weren't playing tennis at 6 p.m. We were playing tennis in the morning, things like that when no one was there. And then finally years later, it's like, oh my gosh, it hit me. I'm like, oh gosh, I used to rip up the tape on these courts because they would always get stuck in my shoe and I would get so mad. So I'd rip them up. And now I'm thinking like, oh, I was that guy.
Yeah. You were the nemesis.
Exactly. I was the evil villain, and I'm thinking, no. So it's like looking back on it, I think it's super.
That's hilarious. So, what was the journey from that day of learning pickleball, being introduced by these ladies, to now you're on tour? Like, come on, that was only a few years ago. How did this all happen?
Yeah, I think just like that next like 2 months in like November, right after Thanksgiving. So all of December, January, all I did was every single day I played pickleball. The worst part about it was this group only played 3 times a week. I think they played like Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. I got there on a Tuesday, but I didn't know their schedule. I forgot. So I went to Walmart, bought a wooden paddle or something. And then I started watching YouTube, just only pickleball YouTube. I showed my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, this could be something you and I can play. And he's 30 years older than me. So I'm thinking like, come on, we could do this. And he's like, it looks boring. I'm like, he was still a tennis purist. He goes to play a tennis match against a friend of his. They played like 2 hours in the Florida heat. And afterwards, he's like, I'll give it a try. He realized that tennis at that point, when he's in mid-50s, is not going to be the move for him. But it was like that 2-month period of just every single day, I just tried to find these people. For a week straight, I tried to find them because Tuesday I went, Wednesday I went, they weren't there. Thursday, Thanksgiving. Friday I went, Black Friday. Saturday I went, they weren't there. So 6 days goes by and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I've lost my opportunity to learn more about pickleball. And then finally that Sunday. And then they started kind of telling me like, hey, there's tournaments and there's this and that. And I started out as like a 3-0 player. I was not this like world beater tennis player coming in and being like, I'm going to take over the world. I was pretty bad, honestly. And then I just kind of got addicted. And then my dad got into it. And every single day, all we want to do is play. We'd go to work, go play, go to work, go play, go to work, go play. My mom was kind of, at first she was like, yeah, great, father-son bonding. And then after a little bit, she's like, what, why are you leaving now? We got to go make dinner. We got to go do this. So, but it was a cool journey to just like little by little become a 3-0, then a 3-5, 4-0, 4-5, 5-0. And the time I really was like, wait a minute, I can kind of play this at a pretty high level. It was 2021. So at this point, it's been less than a year. PPA had a tournament in Orlando, and it was at the USTA National Center, 10 minutes away from my house. I said, all right, at this point, I'm maybe like a 4-5, 4-7-5 doubles player, but singles, I somehow in some way was really, really good. And it wasn't honestly because of my tennis skills. I was not like a big hitting tennis player. I was a serve and volleyer, so I had good hands, but I never really had big ground strokes. So the tennis players that translate now are the ones that were big ground stroke baseliners. So I did pro singles, and I won a match. And I was like, whoa, and this is before qualifying happened and things. So it kind of gave me that confidence to really say, okay, in 2022, I think I can really, really kind of take this and run with it.
That's amazing. It's so impressive that you can just pick up a paddle like that, and in less than a year, you go from like a 3-0 to, 4-5 and above now pro. What steps did you take in your training that kind of helped with that transition to get you to that point that you're at now?
Yeah, so I did basically at the time when we were kind of jumping ship from 3-0, 3-5, so on and so forth, my dad and I, we started playing all these different parks. So that one park that I played at, I think the best player at the time was maybe a 3.5. So once my dad and I kind of realized, wait a minute, we're probably the best people here. We then jumped ship to a different park. Their best players were like close to 4-0, became the best player there. Then we found this one place in Orlando that was kind of like where all the best players hung out. But every Friday they would disappear. Every single Friday disappear. And we're thinking, where is everybody? And somebody said, oh, they're at the Clear One. This place is where all the best players play. And during COVID, Ben Johns would go there, Simone, J.W. Johnson in Georgia before they were, what they are now. All these different players and pros, Kyle Yates, Deckelbar, they would go here because since it was a private facility, they didn't close for COVID. As long as they had their, as long as they did whatever they needed to do, they could still stay open. So all these pros went there to train. In order to play there on Fridays, the club had this guy, Tony Giannone, who I think awesome guy. I think he still coaches Catherine Parento now. And then another guy named Henry Bernardo, who's like the best badminton player to play pickleball. And you had to get rated by them, or you had to win this tournament that they do twice a year. My dad and I found out the tournament was the week after, and we said, we're signing up. We go in there and we killed everybody. No one stood a chance. So we finally get this like 4 or 5 rating. We're like, yes. After we finally played like real pickleball against these other 5-0s and things like that, we realized, all right, us banging and doing all these crazy things is not going to work at all. We started just going every single morning to drill together. We would try to find the best players and be like, please. And just little by little, that kind of just started improving us. And then after I started jumping on the tournament grind, I would just play rec games with people, and I would lose. I sucked at doubles. I really did. Like up until maybe like last year, I was really bad. Like it was good. It was good enough to like go into to qualify for pro doubles. But then we would go and play a first round against a decent team. I'd get thrashed. Like my whole thing was I just hated dinking. And now it's like the exact opposite. Now I almost do too much dinking in a match where I'm just kind of sitting there like, come on, someone mess up, please. So, but it was one of those things where I think I just every single day, just the addiction was there. It was Monday play, afternoon play, evening play. And then in Orlando, I was giving lessons also. So that was my kind of like my job for a little while. So even, I don't care if it was training a 3-0, training a beginner, training a 4-0, somebody, I took all those lessons and said, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to drill. So while this person's working on doing right side dinks, that means I'm doing, also right side dinks. So I'm sitting there doing, 4 or 5 hours of lessons a day, and I'm getting 1,000 reps. And I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, win-win.
Exactly. And then from there, it just kept growing. Like the love for the game grew, the addiction grew. And then last year I said, okay, I think I'm going to try to jump in this almost not necessarily full time, because I still had a full-time job, but I'm going to go try to train as much as possible. I'm going to go try to travel to a bunch of tournaments. And then this year I got blessed with a PPA contract, and now it's really only up from here. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Congratulations on your PPA contract. That just makes life a lot easier. But I'm just curious for you to share, what was it like when you didn't have a PPA contract and you were traveling around trying to qualify every tournament?
It was rough. It really was. when I was in Orlando in 2023, PPAs, that's when around the time PPA was little by little getting ready to start. At the beginning of the year, they didn't have qualifying. I think it was around March is when they finally said, hey, we're going down the more professionalized route. We're going to make these legitimate tournaments. We're doing qualifying now. So I think it was the March Daytona Beach tournament. It was my first time ever experiencing any sort of qualifying draw. And it was rough. It was one of those things where it's like, holy moly, the past year of playing these pro tournaments, I just showed up and played, and I would play maybe another 5-0 plus player first, second round. And then I would go and play a Zane Navratil, or I'd go play a Kyle Yates, or I'd go play a Tyson McGuffin, right? Things like that. But it was the first couple of rounds, you would say, oh, I won a couple of rounds in a main draw. But in reality, those first couple of rounds were the qualifying years ago. 2023 comes around and real qualifying starts. Everything was happening on a Wednesday. So now you got to travel in on a Tuesday, play Wednesday. You're playing the whole day. You play your men's doubles, men's singles, mixed doubles all in one day. And then if you win, yay. Now you get to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But it was those situations too where all the pressure's on you. Like you have to go and win 3-4 matches in each division just to make it to the next day, basically. And once the competition really started heating up, it's like, gosh, there's so many good players playing qualifying. And a lot of these players now all have contracts and they're all doing amazing. But it really was rough. And then last year when I got this full-time job at Pickleball Charlotte, it was one of those things where it was like, gosh, now I have this full 40, 45 hour a week job. I got to go and fly. I got to go work Monday, Tuesday. I leave late night Tuesday to fly to wherever, qualifying Wednesday, and then pray that I do good enough to then play the rest of the week, right? Play that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But now you're there 5-6 days and it's like, holy moly. And there were tournaments there was one tournament where I ended up losing in qualifying for mixed doubles. So it's like all of a sudden and ironic, the worst part was this one tournament, I didn't play singles. It was the one tournament I said, I'm going to take off singles for this exact tournament. So now I find Wednesday and now I'm stuck in this venue Thursday and Friday doing absolutely nothing to then play Saturday. And then Saturday we play Deckel Bar and Hayden Patrickland. And it's like,
oh no,
I just waited 3 days to go and get demolished by the number 3 team in the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, like those were the rough moments where it's like, gosh, it's what do I got to do? What do I got to do to kind of get out of this just abyss of qualifying, and then you got to go back to work, and it's like all this extra stress just kind of hitting you.
Yeah, you definitely have your hands full with tons to balance, but I'm sure it's also fun because it's something that you love to do. How do you balance being the director of pickleball while also going on tour and participating in all of these tournaments?
Yeah, I have the most fun job in the world. Genuinely, it's myself and my co-directors, co-workers are like the best team in the world. There's me and 5 other people, a part of the team, and then all just the staff and everything. It's a giant family. So they're all for my, Eddie, go play. Like I'll be in a meeting, and this happened actually 2 months ago. I'm in a meeting and I get a text message from Kate Fahey, who's the number 2 player in the world right now in singles. And she goes, hey, we need an extra person. Can you play in like an hour? We're in the middle of this big like quarterly meeting, and somebody, one of my coworkers, Joy and Jocelyn, they kind of see my phone and they see that her name popped up, and they're like, why'd Kate text you? Oh, they're asking, they need a fourth. Okay, go. What are you doing? We're good. Like you don't need to. You already gave your part in the meeting. Go. So I'm over here like, oh my gosh. So immediately they're throwing me out there, and then I participated in the World Pickleball League in February in Mumbai, India, and in December, I sent an email to my boss, and I said, hey, to the bosses, I'm like, I'm on a golf course with my day off. I'm with some friends, and I'm sitting here for 3 hours. Every single hole I'm adding a sentence to the essay. Like permission, like, hey, can I take this opportunity? Finally in the 18th hole, I build up the guts to say, hey, to send it. Within 10 minutes, I get an email back. Sounds like a great opportunity. Go for it. I'm like, I just did this whole like 4-hour email, I'm stressing about, and they just go do it. Like take the opportunity because, Eddie, you're doing a great job teaching. You're doing a great job on the business side of things. And you vibe well with everybody. Go have fun, go do your thing. And, luckily for me, I'm not gone 30 weeks out of the year, right? Which is the nice thing. Like the PPA, I think this year I'm scheduled to play maybe like 16 tournaments or something. So it's not, and again, most of them are weekends. So it's kind of like this nice balance where I can still hold this full-time job and still go out and travel. The only hard part is, I would say, is the training element, where it's okay. Like this morning, for example, I clocked into work at 8 a.m., did 4 or 5 hours of lessons today, left at like 5:30. And, it's like when you go and work 9, 10 hours a day, you're just kind of like, you're kind of beat. At the end of the day, you're just kind of like, all right, do I want to relax? Well, if I relax, there's somebody else on, down in Florida, that's a full-time
on you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then in Bristol, the Bristol, Tennessee PPA tournament's coming up in 2 weeks. So now it's just kind of full on throttle at the moment. So
I got to ask you about playing in India. I mean, Brigie and I had this conversation in a previous episode about the Olympics, right? Pickleball becoming an Olympics. And she was asking me, like, what countries do you think would be really competitive? And I picked India as potentially one of those countries because I know how they just really taken pickleball seriously, and they're going 100% on this. What was it like playing in India? I saw a post on your Instagram account where you're in that stadium where it's all lit up. You're like pumped up. You must have hit like a fantastic shot or something like that, won a big point. But that looked like a really cool venue.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, we were in the middle of Mumbai. We're at this stadium called Brabourne Stadium. So it was the first ever in Indian history. It was like the first ever cricket stadium, basically. So it's like this historic venue. It's amazing. They still do cricket matches there, but there's another stadium nearby that's like their main kind of like national stadium in Mumbai. But it was really cool. Like at the time, I'd never been to Asia. I'd never been on a flight, honestly, more than like 10 hours. So that 16-hour one-way flight to India I'm sitting there just like, oh my gosh, I should have. Thank goodness I invested an extra $70 to get an exit row seat, because while it didn't recline, I at least had the leg room. So that worked out. But playing over there was awesome. Like all the people there were so curious about pickleball, and it's picking up like fire over there. It's just everyone's kind of going after it. The big celebrities are doing their part to kind of grow the sport. But this league, it was awesome. Like they had all the major celebrities from Bollywood and just kind of like business executive all buy into teams, because it's essentially their version of like MLP, but over there. So like in MLP US, you have all these, you have like the LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Tom Brady, things like that, like all these names that are kind of thrown out there and that are owners for these teams. It's the equivalent over there in India. So it was cool. Like our team owner's the number one actress in India. So it's like we're out at dinner with her and there's like 50, it seems like 1,000 people, like paparazzi. There's like going crazy. And every time we were in a private room and I'd leave to go to the bathroom and I'd get like pictures taken, and I'm like, oh gosh, what the heck's going on? I'm wearing I don't think I'm dressed for this. What am I doing? But it's a great opportunity. It was super cool. I signed PPA right after also. So it was kind of another, playing over there helped me out and kind of getting another, just kind of throwing out my brand and just showing myself as a player. And then that one post that you were referencing, I hit this crazy shot and they just took a really good picture. But that was the element of like team pickleball, is that hypeness and just excitement all over. So, but also to your point, yeah, Indian pickleball, they're elite. They're coming out. They're all in. They really are. I think in 5 years, Indian pickleball will probably be how the U.S. is now. And then obviously in 5 years, the U.S., the pickleball scene is going to be even bigger. But India and Asia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, China, even Korea, South Korea. There were a couple of South Korean athletes in that league that are awesome players. And the PPA now also has the PPA Asia tour that they're doing, and they have a PPA Trailblazers program. They brought in, I think, 12 Asian players and basically paid for them to be here for 2 months to train, play the tournaments. And these people are no joke. Like they play a different style. They're much more aggressive than what I would have thought, but with just different backgrounds outside of just tennis, table tennis, badminton, Some players just don't even have racket sports whatsoever, and they're just different. They're just coming in from all these different elements. So, but it's going to be. I'm really excited for pickleball to eventually get into the Olympics, because now it's going to actually show off more of an international scene. But hopefully, 2028 I thought was going to be a good addition, but just because it's in LA, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe 2032 is when they're gonna maybe push it.
So now I've got to ask you the same question that I asked Uncle. If pickleball gets to be in the Olympics, which we are hoping and betting that it will, what are your top 3 countries that you would pick as being the most competitive?
Yeah, I think the obvious choice is the U.S. I think if you were to make it,
we push that one aside. I think we said aside.
Yeah,
you guys. We can't.
I don't think anyone's beating a Ben Johns Annalie Waters duo. But I think outside of the U.S., I think India. It's got to be India, Canada, just with Catherine Parento and Steve Deacon and the Walker sisters, the Kawamoto, or not the Kawamotos are American, I think, but it's like you have all these. You have a lot of Canadians that are just like coming out of nowhere, and it's like in Canada. I have a lot of friends that are in Canada, and it's not pickleball is not picked up as fast as here in the U.S. But you do have your small pockets in Ontario and of just different facilities that are starting to come around, and now these Canadian leagues are starting to pop up, so they're kind of fostering the growth. Another country that I think is kind of like a sleeper outside of general Asia, I think India's probably got the best like cadre of like players. Is Brazil. Like genuinely, like we have a Brazilian player here in Charlotte who's phenomenal. This guy's like a good 5+ player, Rafa, and he's been showing me just kind of like they have their own kind of budding pro league that they're doing over there in Brazil, and a lot of their players are, some of them are still here in the U.S. on student visas or in school doing things like that. Others are back there, and then on top of that too, you also have like Amari Humberg. You have Eric Onsens, you have Simone. By the time the Olympics come, Simone might be almost aged out, and then her brother Marcelo. But it's like they're kind of leading this charge for Brazil to pick up. So I think out of like all the South American countries, I think they're probably the one right now with the strongest group of players. So, and on top of that too, they're fostering the pro league. So there's somebody I would say is like a sleeper right now, genuinely country wise.
Yeah, I also threw in Australia just because I think that's probably it's growing pretty fast down there. There's a lot of good leagues and tournaments down in Australia.
The Australian players are just they've come over here to the U.S. a lot. Emilian Schmidt, I think Mitch Hargraves, Joey Wild. There's another guy, Zachary Grabovich, who was a really good player. He moved back. Sarah Burr. So it's like Australia's got a major group of people, and on top of that too, since they're still so close to Asia, they're the ones also doing these PPA Tour Asia or just general Asian tournaments. So they're jumping over. Another country, I guess, too, that I got to throw into the picture, France. Jade DeVilliers, Noé Cliff, like that's 2 of the top 20, 25 guys in the world right now. If they just add a couple top females, I think, France is another one that's kind of leading, that could lead the charge for Europe.
Yeah, you named my country, so I'm so happy that if we laid a bet, Brigie, I wish we could have gone to Vegas and laid a bet in one of the sports books, like which country is going to medal in in pickleball. I think we would have got good odds on those countries. You mentioned a lot of top players that and you played against. Like, you're one of those players. Obviously, you're fantastic. What is it about those players that make them elite and make you elite, that compared to competitive pros that can't break into the top 50?
I think one thing that really separates like the top 30 from anyone outside right now, I think. So last year, for example, I played in Sacramento. I played Riley Newman and Gabe Tardio in second round so we won our first match. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. And we played Gabe Tardio at the time too. Tardio was already a top 5, top 10 guy. And Riley Newman was still at the time top 5. And they didn't necessarily do any like shots. The shots themselves weren't necessarily surprising. Like, I don't think Riley hit a winner on me. But it was the anticipation of what was going to happen next, right? They would hit the speed up. I would sit on it and go after it. But Riley was already in the next position, perfectly set. Gabe Tardio, same thing. He would do this like really cool speed up that he does, that kind of like inside out flick with his forehand at the kitchen. And he's already positioned in a spot that mathematically is where you're supposed to be, but he would be there so quickly. And it's like the anticipation, their brains are working and are just insane. You know, I think like the speed itself, like hand speed, stuff like that, like that stuff kind of grows. But with somebody like a Tardio, Hayden Patrick-Wynn, the two young guys that are so far that are just elevating themselves really heavily. Yeah, just I think their minds are working in a different way. And even like when I play other pros and, you know, in my kind of like category area, you know, kind of, you know, that like 50 to 80 range, you know, we're all so similar, but I think, yeah, that difference in that top 30, I think it's just their brains are working at a different route. They're just kind of seeing things that you kind of don't. So like I played against like Jack Sock the other, and Jack Sock's a freak athlete, right? Gold medalist tennis player. He was one of my favorite tennis players growing up, but there were some shots that he would hit. And I'm just like, wow, amazing. Great shot. You know, he would just hit a certain spot on the body, or he would hit a certain, and it would be sometimes even from like the baseline, he would just cannon a shot. And you're just kind of like surprised, like, huh, you know, I would say 99% of people probably would have dropped that ball, and Sock is over there ripping a 100-mile-an-hour drive, it felt like.
I've always wondered what the culture side of it is like to be on the professional side between and amongst the professional players. Like, do you all give each other tips after the game, or is it strictly competitive? You have your match and you kind of just go your separate ways and review on your own.
Yeah, I think like the top players, I think they've all been around each other for so long. The Ben and Deckel and say Jesse Urban, for example, that, you know, they're all best friends. And I think the top players kind of do their thing together because they've all known each other for so long. Like my group of players that all are fairly new this year, we're all friends, and, you know, I think everyone on tour is friendly. There are some people, I guess, that have, you know, some maybe beef with each other, things like that, but I think, you know, some people are pretty open to giving you feedback, right? Like Colin Johns the other day, you know, threw me some tips, and that was pretty cool. And when we were playing that match against Sock and Eric Roddy, Alex Truon was coaching me, and my partner Stephen Madonia, like, she was throwing us some stuff, and, you know, so it's like, it's one of those things where I don't think it's so competitive to the point where no one's going to talk to each other. I don't think this is like you don't have that culture of a tennis where no one talks to each other. Even junior tennis, no one talks to each other. Pro tennis, people have their friends, but they kind of stick to themselves in the locker room. Pickleball, on the other hand, is it's pickleball, right? Like, you know, it's vibrant, it's exciting. That family element behind it. The San Clemente tournament, everyone's kind of watching each other's matches, cheering people on, things like that. So I think it is a good vibe across the board. And again, some people may not like each other, whatever, but it's out of the 100 and something contracted pros, you know, I don't think there's too many like groups of people that are like, oh, I don't like that person. So
that's good. I mean, you know, the pickleball community is known for how inviting, you know, how inclusive, how friendly everybody is, supportive. So it's nice to hear that on tour, it's pretty much the same, and even at the highest level. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice. It really is. Like, it's refreshing, because when I first came on board, and my first tournament as a tour player was Cape Coral in March, and I'm all nervous. I'm shaking. I'm walking into the tent. First time I have a credential. I finally felt like, wow, I did it. Like, I did what I wanted to do. I told my goal for 2 years was, hey, I just get it. Go be a contracted player. And, you know, it's like, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do it. But when I walked into the tent, I was the only person in there, And one of the tour work employees, Liv Borski, she's the player liaison. She looks at me, she's like, Eddie, it's good to see you. And I was like, I'd never talked to her a day in my life. And it was because she had seen me do all the qualifying, and she's like, Eddie, I'd always seen your name in the draw, and I've seen you around, and, you know, you're just always smiling and bubbly. So it's nice to have somebody like that on the tour. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. And then she directed me to like the right spot, because I was lost. I was like, where do I go for? We had to print the PPA logo on our shirts. So I'm like, where do I do that? Like, you know, I don't know what to do. So, but yeah, it really is refreshing. Like, everyone's nice and welcoming, and, you know, it's not, you know, it's a dog eat dog world the moment it gets on court, but outside of it, everyone's pretty interactive and fun.
I mean, the pros that we've talked to kind of shared that it's kind of tough to kind of make ends meet, because there's not a lot of money yet on tour. I think that's going to change pretty soon here, hopefully, right? Fingers
Yeah,
crossed
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
we get some more money in there next season. But like, what's it like being on tour and kind of grinding on tour, but yet having to have to do the full-time job just to kind of make ends meet? I know, everybody's got to live, right? We got to keep the lights on, as they say.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
And
like
with
just
you at Pickleball Charlotte, you got a pretty heavy responsibility, and you got to deal with all of the stuff that comes up every day, as well as being on tour.
yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things where, like, I do wish I was in an opportunity where I could just go full time pickleball, train every day, play tournaments, do that, and then just do that. And I think eventually, maybe, hopefully, it'll get to that point where one, I improve, and two, with the prize money increases that's going to be happening next year. The goal would be to make a genuine income off of the tour stuff. And it's like I've made some money off of a good amount of money off pickleball, where it's like I'm not negative, I'm not in the red whatsoever. Thank goodness for that. Like I think I've done well enough to do that with sponsorships, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's just that full-time grind. It really does. It kind of puts a little bit of a hamper, because again, right, it's like if I'm working 8 to 9 hours a day, somebody else somewhere else is already putting in 2 sessions, gym session, pickleball, recovery, things like that. I'm having to do my recovery at 6 a.m. or something, at work, just kind of sit there and stretch and kind of, it's not, I'm not a young chicken anymore, spring chicken. I'm 27 years old, but it's like, you have kids like, you have all these kids kind of coming into the sport, and you're like, gosh, everyone's getting so good. Like Annalee's only 18. Hayden Patrickman's 18, 19. Tardio, 18, 19. CJ Klinger, 18, 19. It's just like, I remember when I was their age, and I'm like, gosh, I was just entering college, and all I thought about was, yeah, what am I going to do with my finance degree? They're over there like, yeah, what am I going to do with my brand new, sponsorship and things like that, and my 20,000 gold medals that, so, but yeah, it is tough. It is tough. I am, I know there's some other pros that have their full-time jobs. Like Matt Wright's still a full-time attorney. But there are some other pros that I know that still have full-time jobs, and, and they're juggling both. Which is good. It's an interesting thing. So hopefully in the next couple of years, it can, I can kind of start leaning towards the more full-time thing. But I'm blessed to say that my job is the best in the world. Like I get to teach people every day. I get to see everybody. Like just my direct facility that myself and my co-director Jocelyn run, like we see 600 people a day through our doors. So wow. It's one of those things where it's like I get to see 600 happy, smiling faces every single day. And they're always excited to see me, and I'm elated to see them, because I'll learn about their families, and I'll help them buy a paddle and help them do this. And Eddie, remember that tip you gave me 2 months ago? It finally clicked. And I'm like, gosh, it took 2 months. It's just like it really is a fun job. And then when I do go leave for tournaments, I know that outside of just like my fiance and my family, I know I have this like awesome support crew at home that's just cheering me on. And like when in San Clemente, I was on center court back to back, which was pretty cool. But I'm on center court in back-to-back matches, and everyone's shooting me text messages. Oh my gosh, Eddie, this was awesome to watch, and this is amazing, and they're all like cheering me on and exciting. It's just, it brings a smile to my face, because I'm learning on court, playing, doing the coolest sport in the world, and then now, win or lose, it's like I know that winning and losing is not everything, because you have all these different people that are cheering you on, and they're like, Eddie, we don't care that you lost, or Eddie, great win, things like that, but. It is fun. It is fun. It's hard. It's hard to be doing kind of like both lives, but it's still manageable, which is nice.
Well, it sounds like you have an excellent support team behind you, and I'm sure you've got tons of fans out there and new fans, maybe after hearing this episode. So for our listeners who may want to follow along on your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm super active on Instagram, Perez _ Edward. I wish I got that Edward Perez tag, but someone took it in 2012. And I was like, dang it, Instagram, come on. How did someone beat me to it? But Perez_Edward, and then Facebook, the URL is like 400 things long. So it's just Edward Perez Pickleball on Facebook. But yeah, active on Instagram there and whatnot, and just kind of throwing everything out there. And little by little, I'm getting even more active. Like I'm not necessarily doing like the teaching stuff that a lot of these people doing, because that's so saturated, like, okay guys, there's only so many ways you can teach somebody how to dink. There's millions of new players every month, but it's like, gosh, so I've been throwing out some funny content with my fiance where she's
going to compliment you on those vids with you and your fiance. Those are fun.
Oh my gosh, that is a blast. I need to make so many more. We'll be in the middle of the night and she'll kind of grab me and be like, Eddie, what if we do this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it's 4 a.m.
Well, let's give a plug to Pickleball Charlotte as well.
Yeah, Pickleball Charlotte. So it's going to be at Pickleball Charlotte. See, that one worked out pretty easily. At Pickleball Charlotte, same thing. Our social media team's been throwing out some awesome stuff. But yeah, to anyone watching, if you're ever in the Charlotte area, please come. We have 4 facilities in the Charlotte metro that we operate, and it's growing every day. And today we're starting the construction on our new padel facility. So that's another sport that we're starting to edge our way into. So,
have you played?
A lot. Not as much as some other people, but I try to play like at least once or twice a week. It's fun. Like, do I ever see myself trying to go pro in it? Absolutely not. But it is a fun sport to cross train with pickleball, because it just makes your hands a little bit more sturdy. But it also it's given me the same giddy effect when I first started playing pickleball, where it's so many new shots and so many new just different things happen on the padel court that's different than pickleball. And so it's like my same brain is like, oh my gosh, this is what pickleball was to you, Eddie, 5 years ago. So, but I don't. Pickleball is still my end all be all. I walk on a padel court and I'll miss a shot and I'm like, I love you, pickleball. So I just tell myself like, but I do play a lot. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I know a lot of other pros have been playing as well, because they use it, same thing as like a cross training, and it's nice to get the mind off of pickleball. I use golf, and like I'm honestly not a good golfer by any stretch of the matter, but I go out to the golf course to get my mind off of pickleball, and it actually made my pickleball better. Because instead of me thinking every single day, why is my dink not having this in, or what am I doing wrong? Now all of a sudden, all my hatred goes to, why is my putt not going in? And now that's all I think about is, why can't I hit this one ball? So now when I go to pickleball, I'm like, gosh, I just feel free.
That's a good strategy.
Exactly. It's awesome. It really is.
Well, let's toast. Our final third shot toast.
Yes.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Everything that you are doing, Eddie, and Pickleball Charlotte, everything that's going on there.
Yay,
best of luck.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, and we can't wait to continue to follow you. It was fun when we talked a little bit before the show, and you said you've been following our show here for a while, and I was like, oh my God, Eddie Perez actually listens to Third Shot.
Fangirl.
It's one of those things where it's like, you guys were the first podcast I ever really followed, because everyone, you have the pro podcasts and things like that, and I listen to those all the time, and it's great, and it's because it does, what's the word? It touches on my day to day as well, right? It's like things going on with the PPA and whatnot in the pro scene. It's that it's actively what's happening for me as well. But at the same time, pro pickleball is only one tiny piece of the puzzle to the global world of pickleball. And the one thing that Third Shot Drop podcast does is you touch on everything else. You don't just talk about what happened with the St. Louis Shock. What's going on with the Dallas Flash. You talk about, hey, what's going on with this person and what's going on with this person at this park, at this club, at this, in Colorado, and things like that. Like, you're talking to all these different people that are literally the base of pickleball. Me as a pro player, I'm not the base of pickleball. Like, pro pickleball helps grow the general game, but pro pickleball is not what pickleball is. You know, pickleball is the 50-year-old father that's playing with, you know, the 20-year-old son and finally having something that they can kind of like really bond over and things like that. Like that's what pickleball is. Or the 70-year-old grandmother that hasn't been able to leave her house and all of a sudden finds pickleball and a miracle happens. Now she's able to, you know, kind of jog and things like that, right? Like that's the one thing that this podcast highlights that I love. And when I first started listening to it years ago, I was like, gosh, you know, this is awesome. You know, there's more to the game than people actually do think. So
Thank you.
Thank you
That
so
means
much.
a lot to me, and I'm sure Uncle too.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's what we strive for. You know, Bridgie and I, we're always looking for bringing different aspects of the game to the podcast, and it's nice that you appreciate it. So thank you very much, Eddie.
no, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and continue to do what you two are doing. Like this is just more and more growing the sport, genuinely. Like every person that's going to be watching this is going to learn something new. Anytime I watch a future episode, I'm going to learn something new. And on top of that too, it just builds a giant family, right? Like for anyone watching this episode, you know, you see me at a tournament or you see me at a park or you see me in Charlotte or wherever, come talk to me, you know, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, Eddie, I saw you on the Third Shot Drop, you know, on the Third Shot podcast, right? And it's like, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is great, you know, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, if I see you two when I go to the Vegas tournament, you know, sure, we only met technically over, you know, through this virtual, you know, streaming, right? But it's like all of a sudden when I meet you in person, it's going to be like, you know, I've known you two for a while, right? So it's cool. It really is.
Well, we'll definitely have to hook up when you're in Vegas, and we'll make it happen. We'll definitely make it happen. So again, thank you for coming on, and everybody listening to the show, watching the show. Thank you for joining us at Third Shot. Bridgie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey, and a real special thanks to Eddie for joining us today. Go check him out. You know, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook. Go check out Pickleball Charlotte on their website. Very, very accommodating. So if you want to shoot him a message, I'm sure, you know, he'd be welcome to getting those. And you can support this show. If this is the first time you're listening, you know, support our show by subscribing. We promise to have more amazing guests just like Eddie on future episodes of Third Shot, where Bridgie and I will continue to share our enjoyment for the game and grow this pickleball community together. Thank you so much. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.